What's up, what's up? Beast Boxing Basement in the house. Yeah, please remember to like, subscribe, and donate if you can spare the cash money. So, yeah. So I woke up this morning. I watched the highlights of the Keyshawn Davis Beninchik fight and the Vito Mielnicki vs. Coyle fight. I'm obviously very annoyed because the Coyle fight, yeah, vs. Mielnicki ended up in a draw. I hate draws. There shouldn't be a draw, right? If your scorecard reads, yeah, whatever, 116, 116, you have to just give an edge to one fighter. It's impossible that two fighters, fight and they exactly land the same number of punches, the same number of power, and all that kind of stuff. The draws are terrible for boxing and unsatisfying. It'd be very easy just to tick a box at the end, right? I mean, I know what happens with the cards is right. The judges write them at the end of every round, and they get taken back, right? So the judges don't even really know, allegedly, the running scorecard. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they know, but at the end of the fight, every judge should be asked, if they've scored a draw, right? Who do you give the edge to? It's just a tick. At the end of the fight goes, if it goes the distance, who do you give the edge to if it's a draw or something like that? You don't need no draws in boxing. They ruin it. After a big fight and it's a draw, you slump. Everyone slumps. They're like, oh, this is rubbish. This is rubbish. There ain't no draws in tennis. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no draws in tennis. Do they have them in UFC? I'm not even sure, but it rarely happens. I think maybe, but it rarely happens. But it ruins a big fight. Now, obviously, I'm annoyed because I picked it as a good tip, and it was a good tip. I said Coyle on points. That was 6-1 or 7.0 if you know how to use decimal. I put £5 Coyle on points, tenner, just to win. And I got 4.0 on that. Sorry, 5.0 or 4-1 on that. So I would have come back, with a decent profit there. And me fans would too. And I'm not saying Coyle, I only watched highlights on Top Rank. I'm not saying Coyle was robbed per se, because you can't judge by just watching highlights. But, it annoys me because it was very close. From what I saw, it was a very close fight. Again, it's just the highlights. You can't tell. One judge gave it to Mielnicki. He's obviously the promoter's biatch. I'd have to watch the whole fight. I'm not going to say he was robbed, but it would have been, I do tend towards, well, hang on, mate. He's the promoter's fighter, Mielnicki, and they're trying to make some good money out of him. And if it's a draw to the outsider who was underdog, then I'm leaning to thinking, it's likely that Coyle was a winner. Maybe only about a couple of rounds, but it was a good tip, and I'm just annoyed, furious. I had loads of ACCAs as well that are still ongoing, but that was a good price. That was a good tip. It didn't come through because of the corruption of the judges. Anyway, on to Keyshawn, sorry. Yeah, the other thing, sorry, I remember things. The other thing, the Vito Mielnicki Jr. fight, right? Now, I looked at the Mielnicki name, and apparently it's a lot of those of Polish Jewish origin, but he's a Christian because he wears a cross, right? He wears a cross, blatantly, so God bless him. However, is it all for show? Because he's got only fans promoting him and written all over his shorts. I'm sorry, man. That's a terrible sin. OnlyFans is one of the most disgusting, devilish, satanic outlets that ruins women, it ruins men, it's immoral, it damages society. Now what, you got all these young girls, young teenagers going, oh, I want to be an OnlyFans star. It's horrible, devilish and evil. Yeah, I was just reminded actually, Vito's, there are not that many Caucasian fighters in America. As I said, as I'll say later, it's because there's just not many. There's none. There's no white urban areas now. for the working class. I mean, the rich ones, sure, not the working class ones. But I remember someone said, I can't remember, somebody wasn't into boxing. One of my pals or something, one of my family was watching boxing. I was watching some boxing, and they're like, he said it was two black dudes, and he's like, I think white fighting is much better. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, it's much better to watch, much better to watch white fighting. I said, what do you mean? Why is that? He goes, because you can see the bruises, the cuts, the blood. It looks way more vicious. And there's a point there, actually, because it's true. Like, when you get a black guy and got a bad cut, because, if they got dark skin, you can't see all the blood so well, and you can't see, the bruises don't come out as like great red and purple welts. And that's true, even Danny Williams said that when he said it against Mark Potter afterwards. He was going, yeah, even though that's that classic Rocky style fight. When, by the way, R.I.P. Mark Potter. What a shame he was lost to cancer, and what a shame about Danny Williams' career now. But he was like, his arm popped out, dislocated. Potter was bashing him up anyway, and it was a big upset about to happen, and then boom. He's landed this wild shot and KO'd Potter. It was just insane. And afterwards in the interview, he's like going, yeah, the thing is, it gave me some hope because Potter's white, his face was starting to mark up. I could see the red marks on him. And I thought, well, I'm obviously hitting him. And it gave me extra strength and I knocked him out. People forget that. I try to find the interview, but it's quite amusing. Anyway, that's just a tangent. So again, I watched the top rank highlights on the next day. I couldn't find a full fight, and very impressive display, fair enough. I mean, obviously he's been hyped as a new star. Berinchik was never a top level, world champ. He beat Navarrete, and it was a big upset, but he had he had under 50% KO ratio. Yes, he was unbeaten, but he was quite crude, like I said, and he didn't have that much speed, When you got such a big difference in speed between a slick boxer and a come forward guy, the come forward guy usually gets taken to pieces. And I said I thought it might go the distance, because Keyshawn, I mean, he's a decent puncher, but he's not massive. But he did the business. He took Berinchik apart with body shots. I always get impressed when a fighter uses body shots properly. Obviously Ricky Hatton was very good at it. Julio Cesar Chavez, the Mexicans. But, the reason I like a body shot is because I've been dropped by body shots and it's horrible, It just sucks everything away out of you. And because you're compos mentis, yeah? Because your brain has been rattled, so you know exactly what's going on. But you take the knee and you're like, damn. Early on in my boxing career, I got dropped by a body shot by a pro. It wasn't a very good pro, but he hit me with a perfect shot. And I was like, I just dropped to the canvas. And everyone turned around in the gym. I was boom, thud. And I thought, man, I can't take no body shots. I got a glass body. But the pro goes, nah, don't worry, you'll get used to taking the body shots. And it's true. I would suggest I don't have a glass body. But they're nasty body shots, Yeah, nasty. Like De La Hoya being dropped by Hopkins. Well, that was very dodgy. Sitting there, beating the canvas with his ass in the air like some batty boy. Which, I'm so annoyed. It was a bit theatrical. I'm a bit suspicious of that fight. Keyshawn Davis, it was a very impressive performance. I think people expected it. I think Berinchik was a perfect opponent for him. Like I said, barring a Mayorga Forrest type scenario, I just couldn't see Berinchik with a chance. But like I said in my preview, the difference between Mayorga and Berinchik is that Mayorga could punch, Berinchik can't punch. So he's asking for it. So what's next for Keyshawn? Well, Keyshawn, I can't stand him get boy names. But whatever. Someone had a go at me. Go, oh, well, no, they're reclaiming their heritage, African. I know they just make up stupid names and use apostrophes in stupid ways, and call yourself George, George Davis. Whatever, they can call themselves what they want. I'm only teasing, but it does make me cringe. Dequarius, Lakeisha, all this kind of nonsense. And you know what, if you was an American, and a CV lands on your desk and it's got a name like that, they're going to be trash. It goes in the bin. Anyway, what's the future for Keyshawn Davis? Well, yeah, he's going to be pushed big, obviously, The lightweight division is full of a lot of good fighters. You got to say that, man. And a lot of them are American. It's one of the few divisions where the Americans are really doing well. They got Javon Gay Davis, Shakur Stevenson, okay, Raymond Muratala, Keyshawn Davis, obviously Abdullah Mason, who was also on the card, Floyd Schofield. You know, they've got a lot of guys there. Of course, Vasyl Lomachenko. I hope he retires. I don't want to see Lomachenko fight anymore because he's been robbed too many times and he's too old and he's fighting in a division that's too high for him, you know, for the challenge. He looks tiny compared to them other lightweights. And I don't want him to ruin his legacy, you know. He deserves to be remembered as one of the best ever, but he won't be. A, because he's not American. B, because he got robbed a couple of times. Yeah, show me another one of them amateurs. I know it's amateur boxing, but he's got 397 wins and 1 loss, which they avenged, obviously. And he took on a world title in his second fight and got cheated on by, what's his name, Romero? Is it Orlando? No, Orlando Salido. And he was hitting him low all the time. He came in heavy and, you know. And also there's William Cepeda Segura. I don't know. I don't know how good he is. They're pushing him, right? Because he's Mexican. And he can punch, but I'm not convinced by him. But there are a lot of good fighters there. Britain's Sam Noakes is there. I don't think he's good enough to take any of them top 3 American guys. Davis, Stevenson, the other Davis, Keyshawn, or Abdullah Mason. But like I said, you know, degenerate, uneducated, ghetto trash from the United States don't really excite me. But there's some good fighters there, don't get me wrong. I don't know enough about Keyshawn. Maybe he's cool. I don't know. But I know Javante is a fruity trash. Shakur Stevenson doesn't seem too bad either. But I just, I don't like the way them Yanks always push their athletic, African-American athletic boxers. And they trash everyone else from every other country. Oh, yeah, you guys don't have the athletic African-American fighters like we do. And the reason we haven't got any good heavyweights is because the NFL and the NBA, that's the only reason. No, it isn't, you idiots. You morons. You keep on getting fed that line by Americans. The truth is, the rest of the world's caught up, and the Eastern Europeans and the former communist states didn't used to be able to fight. There's still loads of American heavyweights, loads of them. They just can't fight as well. The rest of the world has caught up with nutrition. People are bigger now. You get me? The Americans always crying about, the heavyweight championship belongs to Americans. Nonsense like that. Nah, man, your days are over. Your days are over, and they have been for years, man. And don't blame no NFL or NBA. The NBA and NFL have been around forever, right? And they've been giving out great paydays for a long time. It's not like suddenly, the NBA and the NFL has suddenly appeared. Why don't you mention ice hockey? There's a lot of ice hockey guys who could fight. Obviously, they're white. White heavyweights can't. American white heavyweights can't fight. No, it's not that. It's just there ain't no gyms, right? It's a urban sport. Now the white working classes don't live. They've been pushed out of urban areas now. There ain't really the white working classes have been pushed out of the big cities. Okay. Now the white working class are mainly living, in suburbia or hicks or rednecks, hillbillies, these kind of things. Tough guys, but they don't have a lot of boxing gyms there. They might have some MMA gyms now, but then, you need, and boxing is the kind of sport that not that many people get into. It's not like whatever, football or soccer, as the Yanks, the septic tanks say. You know what I'm saying? Everyone plays it. Well, except the Yanks don't play it that much, but they got their own stupid sports. But with boxing, there's only a certain kind of person that will do boxing. A lot of people. You got to be able to take a punch in the face like Norbit. If you can't take a bit of pain and being punched around, then boxing ain't for you. So it's not a sport that you need a lot of people in a town because only a few of them are going to have the balls, the guts, the cojones. The soul to actually box. So if you've got a small redneck town of 20,000 people, right, how many of them are going to box? Well, not that many, and they won't have many gyms. The white boxing era ended with in the 50s and early 60s, really, because all the especially a lot of the African Americans from the South, moved to the North and to the big towns to look for jobs and opportunities, which is fine, you know. Although they don't seem to be the case no more. You know what I'm saying? The unemployment rate in them communities and the imprisonment rate, it ain't great. The criminal rate is huge. So you know, all them old white settlements in the big cities are gone now. So, you know, but Americans are, you know, they're still crying. They're still crying. You know, yeah? They're still crying because they want to, you know, they can't stand the fact that the rest of the world is better than them at heavyweight boxing, so they have to invent a stupid theory. Oh, it's the NBA and NFL, that's why. All the athletic black African Americans, and they're not boxing anymore. Well, they are. There's loads of them, you know. Let's have a look how many. Yeah, I like my data. You know what? Because if you use data and you present it properly, you know the truth. You know the truth. Let's look at how many American, right, heavyweights there are. Okay? So I'm going to USA. Box Pro, right? Blood clot. Sorry, I'm just on Box Rec. So, active right now, right? There are 371 American heavyweights. Yeah, but none of them are any good. None of them are any good. Jared Anderson got shown up again. Just recently, last night he went points victory with an aging Greek guy who got carried in a round by a fellow Greek. In Greece, a guy who'd never won a fight. He'd had one fight, one loss or something. Deontay Wilder, well, he did win a championship and he could punch, sure. Richard Torres Jr., I like him, but, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Andy Ruiz, well, Andy's Mexican-American. And, you know, as is Richard Torres Jr., or at least partially. You know, Michael Hunter, according to BoxRec, is their top boy. I mean, that shows you. Hunter's a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but, you know, there's a bit of difference between Michael Hunter and Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe and Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. The point is, you got to understand, there's what the rest of the world are up there. They've caught up with nutrition. And like I said, all the Eastern, Euro, and communist countries can now turn pro. And that's when things change. All right? Anyway, I'm annoyed I lost that bet. Really annoyed, because it's so close. But it was a great tip. Keyshawn Davis again, yeah, flashy, decent. He destroyed Berinchik, but Berinchik was made for him. So you know, we got to remember that. But there's some good fights at lightweight. To be fair, peace in that Middle East.